สวัสดีค่ะ Connecting women of all professions from around the world so that they can learn from each other and inspire each other has become a mission for Analisa Balares. Analisa is the CEO and founder of the network Womensphere. She shares with us her viewpoints on the potential of women today. Analisa, why are you interested in women's issue and development programs for women?
I think that women represent the most untapped resource and potential in the planet, potential for a better future and a better world. I think that investing in women is the highest return of investment, type of activity that one could make. Investing in women's education, investing in women becoming more successful entrepreneurs. Between the United Nations, the World Bank, and the World Economic Forum, all the international institutions have actually come to an agreement that investing in women has amazing multiplier effects in the economy, sustainability, the health of nations, the welfare of families, the goodness of children. And so I think that, it's an activity that Womensphere is completely devoted to. Womensphere is devoted to and dedicated to doing investments in unlocking the potential of women and advancing the evolution of women as leaders, as innovators, as creators, so that we can be more successful, so we can fulfill our dreams, whether it's to become a scientist or an engineer or financier. If a woman dreams of becoming that, then we should enable women to be successful in pursuing their dreams.
What does Womensphere actually do?
Womensphere invests in unlocking women's potential and in advancing women's evolution as leaders, as innovators, as entrepreneurs, and as creators. And we do a number of things towards that end. We believe that it's important to inspire women, to connect women with each other as well as with resources, to educate women so that we know what our options are, and so that we can employ better strategies and tactics so that we can be more successful. We think it's important to provide women with an environment that is supportive so that women feel like, she has all the support that she needs in order to be successful in fulfilling her dreams. So from that, from that philosophy, we do a number of things. One is that we convene women to connect them with each other as well as to connect them with inspiring leaders that could be mentors to them as well as potential investors in their success. So when we think about the world of women, we segment actually women and different audiences of women. We convene them separately. We have women that are global leaders. These are women managers, executives, heads of international institutions, heads of NGOs, and they have issues that are fairly unique to them. How can I become a better leader of my organization? How can I grow my organization? How can I make a global impact? We also have a group that we serve, the women entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs. And their issues are a bit unique as well. How can I scale my enterprise? How can I get funding? How can I go to market in a successful way? We also have a group that is the next generation of women leaders called the emerging leaders. These are young women from college all the way to young women professionals. And their questions are fairly unique. How can I make an impact in the world? What career choices should I be taking? Who can be my mentors? And so because these, based on life stage as well as industries, women have different questions, we try to answer these questions by convening them through conferences and forums. So we produce a lot of events and a lot of conferences that connect women in a live way to each other, and that creates a community of women that are supporting each other. We also bring men in so that men can be mentors and investors in these women. They're also potential employers. And we allow women to basically inspire each other as well as be inspired by amazing leaders that have succeeded and that could be great role models for them. That's one of the things that we do. Second thing that we do is we inspire women to make a positive difference in the world. And so through our conferences as well as through social media, we put in front of them a number of amazing nonprofits that are either led by women, social entrepreneurs or heads of NGOs, or that are investing in women. So for example, we have two social entrepreneurs that we're supporting. They're both women. They're both former bankers. One decided to start a feeding program based in the Philippines. One decided to start a global fund for widows, which is servicing the issue of 100 million widows who are living below the poverty line. And these are amazing social entrepreneurs. So we put them in front of the women in our community to inspire the women to support them. And that way we're creating a multiplier effect so that these women social entrepreneurs can be supported by the community. There are also amazing organizations that are investing in women. The Global Fund for Women, the Women's Refugee Commission, UN Women, and we try to basically make women in the community be much more aware of these great organizations so that they can contribute towards supporting other women that could use their help and that could use their support. So that's one thing, that's another thing that we do that's around the social impact. Something very exciting that we're actually developing and launching in the fall is the Heroine Media Network. Womensphere basically is about sharing the stories of female heroines. You know, when I think about my own life, my parents never graduated from high school. A lot of my role models were teachers, you know, and women and men that have invested in me. But there are also, you know, the heroines I read in media. So whether it's Nancy Drew, you know, or whether it's Barbara Taylor Bradford's A Woman of Substance, or whether it was, you know, women that I'd read about in magazines that were succeeding and doing very difficult things. I think that having role models and heroines is very important. So one of the ways that we hope to reach millions of women around the world is by this media, you know, media platforms that we're creating to share the stories of inspiring women.
Can any woman just join Womensphere?
Yeah, women can become a part of the Womensphere community through social media. You know, we have Facebook, we have LinkedIn groups, and we're developing that further, and we're making that much more sophisticated. So in the fall, with the launch of our content, you know, media content, videos of inspiring scientists and inspiring bankers and social entrepreneurs, we're also launching a way for women from around the world to really connect with the Womensphere community, the leaders in the new Womensphere community, as well as connect with each other. So there'll be more and more ways, increasingly over time, for women to be connected, whatever part of the world you're in. You could be in Fiji or Antarctica and connecting with the broader pool. And I think a great value is, I'm a big believer in inspiration. I think that when you're inspired, you can do anything. You know, when you see that someone has pursued something that seems impossible and has made it happen, you feel encouraged. You know, it gives you courage. And I think if there's one thing that Womensphere can do successfully that will make a difference in the lives of women, it's to give women courage. You know, it's to give women heart. Courage, the root word of courage is heart. And when you give a woman the heart, the courage to do that which she thinks is impossible, and then she makes it possible, the more that she does it, the more courage she actually gets. And then she becomes an inspiration to other women who think that, oh, this thing is impossible. You know, maybe it's getting a college education or going to, you know, get an MBA. Maybe that seems impossible for some women. Women that have never had role models of family members that have gone to school would probably think that that's an impossible thing. But if they see someone within their family or within their community that's made the impossible actually possible, it becomes possible for them. And in that way, their own potential expands, and what becomes possible for them, you know, the boundaries of what's possible for them expands. And it becomes almost unlimited, right? Like, it's really limited by, you know, one's potential is almost limited by what one can imagine.
Right.
And so it's important to expand the possibilities of what one could do. And I think that's super important.
I think the world has opened up a lot for women
Yes.
these days, but of course we still face challenges. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges that women face today, either at home, in the workplace, or in society in general?
I think that the two biggest challenges that women face are internal and external. The first set of challenge, you know, Arianna Huffington, who's also one of my heroines, basically says that it's, you know, the voice in your head that tells you you can't do something. I'm a big believer in that. If you yourself don't think that you can accomplish something, that's half the battle, you know, that you've already lost. And so I think it's extremely important to develop self-awareness, support network, get role models and mentors, and really surround yourself with, you know, with champions that believe in you. It's also really important that you believe in yourself and that you can do what it takes to get to where you need to go. And so the first challenge that I think hold many women back is internal. It's really what's in our minds. The second is external. It's a lot to do with what society expects of us, which could be variable depending on what society we're talking about. You know, there are parts of the world where women can't own assets, can't own land. They're legally bound, you know, and held back. And so that's a very different set of circumstance than a society where women are, you know, allowed to go to school, but are expected to fulfill certain obligations. And again, that's a separate set of external constraints from, you know, societies that are probably like in more developed nations where the set of external constraints and expectations are different, but they're still there, and they're still holding women back. And I think that in both, whether it's the internal or external, it requires a level of self-awareness. Self-awareness on the part of the woman, or self-awareness on the part of the institution that's employing the woman or educating the woman, or the institution where the woman lives, society where the woman lives. A self-awareness to understand that these are things that we're imposing on women that are holding women back. And without that self-awareness from the institutional and society level, it's difficult to remove those barriers. And so I'm a big believer in discussing these types of issues and having different types of opinions surface in enabling dialogue, because it leads to self-awareness, both internally as well as on the part of society and institutions.